Welcome to News from Quiet Places, the show that brings you stories from the corners of the world that too often go unheard. Each episode we travel across Asia, Africa, and Pacific to spotlight voices, events, and moments that rarely make the front page, but matter just as much. I'm your host, Mikhailo, and together we'll discover the new shaping lives far from the usual headlines with clarity, respect, and curiosity. Let's begin. Story 1. South Africa declares gender-based violence a national disaster. In a major move, South Africa's government has officially classified gender-based violence as a national disaster. This comes amid widespread protests across 15 cities, where women and allies held a lie-down demonstration to symbolically represent the estimated 15 women killed by gender-based violence every single day. The decision allows for more resources and structural support, signaling that the crisis is being treated with urgency. Why it matters? As the G20 summit takes place in Johannesburg, this declaration amplifies a powerful civil society demand. Leaders must tackle deeply rooted social violence, not just economic or geopolitical issues. Story 2. G20 summit adopts climate declaration despite US boycott. G20 leaders meeting in Johannesburg issued a summit declaration that emphasizes climate change, renewable energy targets, and support for poorer nations. And they did this despite a US boycott. The US, led by President Trump, skipped the summit, citing disagreements over South Africa's G20 agenda. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said there was overwhelming consensus among the other members for the declaration. Why it matters? This G20 is historic, the first on African soil, and the declaration signals a shift toward climate and debt justice, especially for developing countries. Story 3. African activists demand fossil fuel exit at G20. Civil society groups across Africa are calling on G20 leaders to phase out fossil fuels swiftly and support community-owned renewable energy, not big private corporations. Activists emphasize that a just energy transition must not replicate extractive models. They want local control, fair finance, and true climate justice. They also warn against new debt burdens tied to outdated fossil fuel infrastructure, urging G20 nations to back grant-based financing instead. Why it matters? Their demands foreground a quietly growing but very consensual narrative in Africa, that climate action must be equitable, democratic, and locally led. Thank you for listening to News from Quiet Places. If you enjoyed today's journey through the overlooked and underreported, be sure to follow the show and share it with someone who loves discovering the world beyond usual news cycle. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep your eyes on the quiet places, because that's where the real stories often begin.